Well, that was a fun project, but I guess it's done. Oh well. Now what? I guess I could always finally take up actual Bionicle building. Huh. Where's the head? Oh, here it is. Well, it's been a while, but I guess I'm back. In case you're new to Bionicle Day, hello there. My name is Swert. I am one of the founders of Bionicle Day, the proper event that we're watching. And back in 2021, I created a brickhead style of the 6 Toa, which I dubbed the Kolhiiheadz. In 2023, I mentioned that I had become super burned out on the whole project. The truth is, I was getting sick and tired of making 6 different sets of instructions with completely different requirements, knowing that deep down, somehow it wasn't enough. It was just incomplete. However, I knew that the only way to fix this was to fundamentally start over from scratch and make a brand new design. In addition to that mentality, new parts were finally introduced into the system to make them a little more accurate, as well as minor fixes of my own errors that would make them truly look like the real Toa sets. But I knew the real challenge was going to be, how do I address one major flaw for my first set? How do I make it so you can build any Toa that you want, any color you want, and still maintain not burning out for making 216 different sets of instructions to make each Toa with each primary color possible? That is absurd. Instead, why not just change the mask? Oh, never mind. This head is way better. Introducing the Kolhiiheadz Modular system. My attempt to right the wrongs from 2021 when I created my first Toa design. With this new system, any possible combination of the Great Kanohi mask that is built in this style can now be applied to a generic template of a head. With this in mind, now I just need to make one simple set of instructions for each of the body types we've seen in 2001, such as the single arm swing and the inverted body. However, I then faced a very new set of challenges. What about the noble Kanohi? Oh yeah, of course I made the noble Kanohi. You thought this would just be your normal unhinged Kolhiiheadz reveal?
I have lost sleep to this system.
Oh, and of course I also had to make the Turaga to go with them. Each mask design is capable of being built in every solid color featured in Bionicle's entire G1 story year, with the only true replacements being Medium Azure replacing Medium Blue, and Dark Purple replacing Classic Purple. Oh, and yes, the Greys are also using the Stone variants introduced back in 2004. Yes, that is the official LEGO term, Stone Grey. Feel free to look it up. Please do. I'm sick and tired of having this discussion. Each mask may require parts replacements until LEGO officially releases the ones I intended, but the replacements are pretty close if you asked me. Also, a point to mention is with this new system, both gold and silver masks are now possible, as well as new to the lineup, infected masks. Now, I'm torn whether or not to release instructions for the infected, as it's more a matter of feel and style rather than precision. So feel free to reach out to me with contact information I'll provide later if you think I should. Again, it does feel like you should explore the possibility on your own, but that's just personal preference. But speaking of personal preference, in addition to each mask being buildable in each color, this new system also allows for the first time the ability to swap parts between masks. So if you ever wanted that at Kakamari, Well, guess what? Now you can. Always wanted Nikon's Noble Hau? Yeah, here you go. Likewise, you could also change LEGO elements out to make unique color palettes and unique pieces to your current mask design, or you could go hog wild on unique designs altogether. Honestly, the possibilities are only limited by your imagination. Okay, and also a few parts that just don't mix very well, but that's an easy fix if you try hard enough. Worst case scenario, you could always see for miles. And miles. And miles. Getting to this point was not easy, and it required so many revisions. In fact, to date, there are at least 21 different studio files, over 130 images of renders, 3 animations, and many failed attempts sent over Discord before I finally nailed all 12 of these masks. Now, having said that, I guess we should also address another elephant in the room. There's got to be more here. Oh. Well, you know, if it's worth doing, it's certainly worth overdoing. It turns out when you have half a year to plan a whole new TOA system, you also have the same amount of time to plan a new way to turn them into TOA Nuva. So like the original TOA Nuva from 2002, these TOA Nuva will use the exact same bodies as your new Kolhiiheadz Modular. Nuva masks are being upgraded to the modular system as we speak, and will be released as soon as possible. But that does bring up the next subject. How will this all be released? The current plan is to make different sets of instructions for each Kanohi, featuring a head with that TOA's eye color. The Noble Kanohi will have the instructions for each Turaga head associated with that mask, so you can also do recolored TOA heads from these. The only head that has any changes directly to it will be the Bakari's head, which is meant for Onua's hunching effect. Now, of course, as it is also a very modular system, the Bakari can still go on any other head design. A hunched TOA will require slightly modified Kanohi sides to be able to properly wear them, as seen in these examples, which will be made available as separate instructions for your needs. The next set of instructions will be based around the TOA bodies themselves, as implied earlier. This will include the single arm, the double arm, the inverted kick, and the inverted run. The TOA tools for each TOA will also be inserted into a set of instructions, as well as brand new Nuva-themed stands for each of the TOA. Additionally, the Turaga bodies will be available on their own, ready to take the lead in the Koro of their choice. Wait a minute. But if the Turaga lead, who would they be leading? You knew I had to do it. One of the biggest things I've tried to make for so many years now was a believable Matoran design in my system. It wasn't until my failed Turaga design from earlier this year that I realized my problem was not in trying to make them similar in scale, but in failing to realize what the scale was to begin with. As you can see from the video, the body is even shorter than the gift with purchase Takua himself, and I argue even more adorable. However, it still uses the same modular Kanohi system as the TOA and Turaga, so you can now interchange these masks across these 3 styles. Of note, some Matoran Kanohi will also require the same modifications seen in the hunched models, but with the best part, with all these color combinations possible within the system, the friends you make are always there for you, just at a cost. Speaking of, when I first released my Kolhiiheadz, and the second time I released my Kolhiiheadz, and the third time I released Kolhiiheadz, I said they would be free. Well, let's go ahead and address that now for you here now. They still are free. However, instead of hosting these on BSL1 server, I am now moving the original Kolhiiheadz, the geared up Kolhiiheadz, well, ones I finished, as well as the modular system, all to my personal OneDrive. Yeah, okay, yes, I know. Ugh, OneDrive. Ugh. I wish I still had the space left to leave it on BSL1, but I would rather reserve all that space for the site, and it was about time I move on off of there anyway. To clarify, the BSL1 website for Kolhiiheadz is still there, but now each thumbnail will instead represent the mask you want and the body type you want, as well as having a dedicated link to the original folder, just so you can get those later. I have spent so much time working on these, but unfortunately I couldn't get them all done in time for Bionicle Day this year. My goal is to have them all posted by winter 2025, no later than New Year's 2026. I do have instructions ready for the single arm Toa and the Hau, just to give you a small taste of what you were expected to see. I will be posting more on my Blue Sky and in the BSL1 Discord with updates about what instructions are ready and when. If you have any questions, feel free to ping me in the BSL1 Discord or in any other Discord we happen to be sharing. I'm in a lot of them. On BSL1 on my talk page, over on Blue Sky, or just shooting me an email at swert@outlook.com. With that, I hope you enjoyed the presentation, and I hope you get ready to build your own OCs, Kolhiiheadz style.